Hello and welcome to Undeveloped Reels. I'm excited today to kind of kick off the first video on this channel. It's going to be a simple video, just me talking. But I just wanted to get a quick review in for Ghostbusters Frozen Empire. I've been I saw a bit ago, but I've been seeing a lot of just kind of reviews bashing the film, which I think is kind of crazy, and it's been this kind of like weird feeling for I think there's been a lot of people who have loved it, that are real good. I don't want to say real true Ghostbusters fan, separate us or whatever, but I think there's just some people that love Ghostbusters a certain amount, and then some love it a different amount. And for me, I grew up on Ghostbusters. I started watching Ghostbusters um, when I was too young, basically, to have been allowed to watch it. There's but it was one of those series I love. Probably because I watched the cartoon first as a kid. Growing up, I was born in the late '80s, so the cartoon, the real Ghostbusters, was a popular thing at the time. We had the toys. I remember we had, like, what's it called, the trap. We had the trap toy and the proton pack that had a little yellow beam that came out, I think it was. And we used to drink Ecto Cooler High C, back in the day. But yeah, so I grew up on that, and then I was really young when I first probably saw the first film, and then I continued to, I loved that, and I love the second one as well. I know that gets some hate from fans, but maybe because I was a kid, I grew up watching it. It's just as fun to me. Not as good as the first one. Obviously, the first one's kind of the standard, but I loved it. But then, so we had that, and we had those two films. Then we had the cartoon, and then we had the Extreme Ghostbusters cartoon as well, about Egon taking on a next generation of Ghostbusters. That was a fun cartoon I remember as a kid. And then we had, what can only be described as a drought. We didn't have Ghostbusters for, I don't know how. I mean, just years. I mean, I think there was a movie that came out. I'm forgetting what it's called. I want to say it was Evolution. I want to say that's what it was called. And that was, I think, originally planned to be a Ghostbusters movie, and then they rewrote it and wrote it, and had it be aliens. I think, yeah, it was, if I recall, it was David Duchovny was the star of that film. Sean William Scott, I think, was in it. I can't remember much about it. It was kind of its own thing, but I think it was Evolution is what it was called. And then, yeah, then the next attempt, there was the movie from a few years ago, the reboot, the remake, and I never saw it. I'll be honest. I skipped out on that one. I think I actually got it for free, as part of like an iTunes promotion, and I've still never sat down and watched it. Just nothing against the ladies involved. I'm not a big Kristen Wiig fan. Not a big I'm blanking on her name, Kate McKinnon fan. Like, I feel like they're just, all they do is play the same kind of weird characters. Personally, it's just not my thing. But I just wasn't really, what I wasn't excited about for that movie was the fact that it was just starting from scratch. It could have been a continuation of the series, and I would have been a little bit more, open minded to it if it was, you know, these four new ladies came in and revived the project, the Ghostbusters, and had some mentorship from the original characters of Winston and Ray and Peter and Venkman, like, and even um, what at the time. Well, just it would have been more, I think, of a success. I think it would have had a better chance of surviving, and people would have been more open to it. That was my biggest complaint. It wasn't, oh, it's all female, whatever. I just didn't care to see a retread, a restart. I just thought that's not for me. I wanted to see some kind of a legacy sequel, which is what we got in Afterlife a few years ago. We got the grandchildren, the Spangler grandchildren, and Egon's daughter, and they kind of pick up his work, and that was a great, a great movie. Sadly, I didn't get to see that in theaters because that was all still kind of around the COVID time and lockdown, and I just waited till came out. But when it came out, I bought it digitally, and I thought, the kids did a great job. It was kind of I think, a good passing the torch film. Paul Rudd was great in it. I really liked Paul Rudd as Gary in it, and he always brings some fun to the films, and he had a great sense of humor in it, and did well with the kids, and I thought, yeah, even yeah, it's kind of and to be fair, it's a little bit of a retread of the first Ghostbusters with Gozer coming out and again, and them having to stop Gozer. But I did enjoy seeing the original characters come back in their small cameo in that film. That's the highlight of that film really, of seeing Venkman and Ray and Winston, and they're there to assist, and also the ghost of Egon, which was, I think, a well done ending for that film. But that was a great thing, and that's really carried on into Frozen Empire. I think that that same kind of feeling that was in Afterlife has continued, and we get a little more. If you haven't seen it, I'm going to talk a little bit of some spoilers, but I mean, first of all, it just kicks off. I really like the way it kicks off with in the past with the 1904 fire crew coming out of the what was then the fire station in 1904, the Ghostbusters headquarters, and the way they come out of that, and it's really cool. And you realize, oh my gosh, that's the building, and they kind of start the movie off. But actually, it was kind of something I saw on Facebook, by the way, about that the other day, was someone saying that back in 1904, actually, that the firehouse would have been a double bay firehouse, so it was actually larger. But they had later, I think in 1913, it said they had to widen the street or something, so they cut the building down to just the one bay, the iconic one bay firehouse that we know as the Ghostbusters headquarters. So that technically it wasn't historically accurate for it to look that way in 1904 is what the person was saying, which you could forgive because it's a movie, but it would have been too bad they just didn't set it in 1914, then it would have worked out perfectly. But anyways, you see that, and it kind of sets up the big bad of the movie that they have to deal with, and then we kind of cut to the new Ghostbusters, the Spangler family and Gary Gooberson, flying through the streets in the Ecto, and just doing some busting, again, and it's chaos, and it's crazy. And they end up getting into trouble with the mayor, Walter Peck, who is returning from the first film, and just playing again the villain of the film, kind of not a minor villain, but just the mean guy who wants to shut down the Ghostbusters over and over again, and he bans Phoebe. She's underage, she shouldn't be ghostbusting, and so they have to bench her, and that's kind of kicks off a bit of the movie's plot because she's feeling left out and lonely, and one of the kind of the things that I think that a lot of people have had problems with is the she kind of goes off and she ends up meeting a ghost and becoming friends with this ghost, and I think Melody was her name. I could be wrong, but it's kind of a weird friendship or whatever. But like she's lonely, needs a friend. I guess podcast isn't a good enough friend anymore from the first film. He's in this film, but I kind of liked one thing I liked about the friend Melody is that I feel like it made the movie Casper canon a little bit, because they talk about how ghosts have unfinished business and that's why they stick around, and obviously that's in Casper, that's a big thing. But also, as you know, in Casper we have a cameo from Ray Stantz, and he's asked to evict, catch the ghostly trio from Casper, and he gets scared and has to run away and says, who are you going to call? Someone else. And so it's kind of like I don't know if it was intentionally nod to talk about the unfinished business. I think that's something talked about in a lot of different cultures when it comes to ghosts. But I liked it. But the friendship was okay. It was the thing that I thought was just dumb was her having to. She wanted to experience what it was like to be a ghost, so she gets in the machine that temporarily kills her, basically separates her spirit from her body, and I'm like, for someone as smart as Phoebe, I just don't think she would climb into a thing and be like, let's give this a go. Maybe if earlier in the movie we would have seen it sounds bad, let's try it on a puppy. I don't know, separate a puppy's spirit. That sounds awful, but just to see that living creatures can survive this or whatever. But there was just no guarantee. It's just like, I would just totally do this and get it. I thought that was a weird choice, but they needed an excuse for her to release the big bad. But other than that, I think this movie did a great job of fleshing out the new cast more, giving them some more to do. And everyone from all the new cast from the previous film from Afterlife are back, and they all have their reasons for being in New York. And then we have the new characters, and I mean the original characters, and I like that. Winston gets more to do. I like Ernie Hudson's awesome as always. I've been enjoying him. I'm not a huge fan of the new Quantum Leap, but he's been a great part of that show. Bring back Scott Bakula, it'd be awesome. But if for any Quantum Leap fans out there, but he's great, and seeing him being like kind of the overseer of the Ghostbusters now and having the financing, and especially when it's kind of a good callback because he was just looking for a steady paycheck in the first film, but now he's this rich guy, rich billionaire who funds them. But and him and then Ray wanted to rechase the glory days, and Dan Aykroyd does a great job. He's always had a great love for this franchise. I know he's glad it's back. And Annie Potts does a great job, and she has a limited role, but she's great in it. And I think what I've seen a lot is the big complaint about Bill Murray. Oh, he phoned it in. He doesn't even want to be there. He's just whatever, and he's just out of it. And you know what? I think just Bill Murray is Bill Murray. That's how he comes across. But I enjoyed it. I thought he felt like Peter to me. He felt like seeing that character again, and that's all I was happy to see. Like he had some great funny moments, and just having fun, like just being silly. And I think there was the one line that really, it probably I don't know if it made anyone else, but it made me laugh, where they need fire to be able to stop the villain. They're all looking like, does anyone have matches or anything like that, like as they're facing him down. And Ray says something along the lines of like, I haven't carried any matches or a lighter with me since I quit smoking in the 90s. And they're in the middle of this danger, but Venkman still has time to say, I was proud of you then, and I'm still proud of you now, or whatever. Just like a silly, like kind of comedy moment. But I think I thought Bill Murray was fun in it. He has the smallest role of the returning people, the returning originals, but I think he still sold it and was great. And I just thought, I don't know what people are looking for in a Ghostbusters film. For me, I'm just looking for a good time. I think it's not a perfect film, but neither was the original, to be honest. Like, it's a great movie. It's a classic, and I love it. But it's not like it's like, this perfect, flawless film. Like, there's rarely a film that ever is 100% perfect. In my mind, I can only think of a few. Maybe Jaws. Jaws to me is like, there's no flaw in that film for me. But yeah, so there's all these complaints, and then the other complaint I feel like is some people are like, it was never even meant to be a franchise, so I don't know why they keep making movies and running into the ground. And you know what, we went a long time without Ghostbusters, and they brought it back, and I think it's fun for this generation. I had a great time having never seen a Ghostbusters film in the theater and being able to sit there and just soak it in, just enjoy it, and I had a smile on my face. And I'll be honest, when the music kicked on at the end and we hear the Ghostbusters theme, I was having a great time. I just wanted to hang out and start dancing in the theater. But yeah, I love it. I think it was a great film. I think people are a little too hard on it who didn't like it. Maybe they aren't big into Ghostbusters. Maybe they're just casual Ghostbusters fans. I don't know, or maybe they're just mad at the 2016 one did it too hot, and they're just looking for a reason to hate on the new ones. I don't know. But I think if you like the original Ghostbusters, you'd love this, and it's a great film. And I'm excited to see what they do more. I know they have more plans. I think what they call it, Ghost Corps or whatever that they're doing. Corps. How do you say that? I never know. I feel like it's Corps, Ghost Corps, Productions or whatever they call it. And I know they have a lot of plans. I've heard they have an animated spinoff, possibly coming. They have other films. I think they could do a Ghostbusters in England. This with some English actors would be kind of maybe a fun twist. Obviously, Europe has its own folklore and different things that they could address for ghosts. And actually, you could have a James Acaster as a part of that cast. I think he was another bright spot in this film. And he's a new addition to the film, but he fit in, I thought, perfectly with the Ghostbusters as kind of the engineer and science guy. And he was, I've liked him from different things I've seen. I'm big into watching some of what they have over there in England. And I think he was a great addition. Anyways, yeah, I'm just gonna say, give it a chance if you haven't already. But I don't listen to anyone who's saying it's bad for ridiculous reasons. I think You go into a Ghostbusters film, and this is what it was. It was like an episode of the show. If you like the animated series, it was kind of built similar to that. Like they had a lot of great memorable villains and things, and I thought, yeah, it was. That's all it was. It was just a fun movie in a fun universe that we all grew up loving. So I recommend it. I had a great time. I went solo to the film because my wife isn't into it, so I went by myself. But if my kids were a little older, I'd take them. I don't guess I'm not as irresponsible as my parents were. I don't really let them watch movies. They're a little young. They're 3 and 6, so I don't think they would have been super into it. They do love the ghost. I always say, "Who you gonna call?" And my 3-year-old says, "Ghostbusters." So they know that much. I'm trying to pass down what I can. Anyways, I had a great time talking about this film. I hope you had a good time listening. This is my first time doing it, so go easy. I'm getting used to my I guess my talking voice, talking into a microphone. But I hope you guys watch and continue to watch, and maybe like and subscribe to this channel if you want to enjoy more. Thanks. Bye.